you know, where they have just ice and dirt, and they have to deal with that. And that happens here in New England all the time. Like, you'll have a race that'll go on, and you'll be out there for 30 miles, and it'll be rocks and ice and dirt and sticks, you know, or you'll come to a big logging area, and all of a sudden there's nothing but dirt and sticks. So yeah, you need to be ready for that. Training for that would be pulling without and driving on a sled without those conditions.
And strategically, when your son, for example, is preparing for something like a mini Iditarod, do you drive the course? Do you map it out?
Will he be? Yes, he will be. He will be out on parts of the course and stuff. And mostly, you know, if we're traveling to a sled, to a race, like in a different distance, like he raced in Yellowstone last year in Montana. What we did is we acclimated the dog a week before. They were there. All the dogs were out there a week before, acclimating to the altitude, the temperature change, all of that, running in the conditions. On part of the trail too. But we would try to simulate most of the trail conditions. So we would get what kind of climb is there, how much elevation is there, what kind of conditions are we expecting that time of year. We look back in the pattern and we train that locally. We can get most of that where we are because we have New Hampshire right there, we've got Vermont right there. We have great trail systems here. We've got flat trail, but we also have climb trail right out of our kennel. We have hills right out of our kennel, so we train right from the trail as well.
And then obviously there's the sled, there are the dogs, but there's all the supplies, all of the things that you sort of carry along. What is it that someone would have on them on the sled at any time during a race?
Lots of things. Things to start, fire equipment, to melt snow, to create water. You absolutely have to have that to melt snow. You need to be able to have a source for water. Water's very important on the trail. Definitely sleeping bag to get into, to get warm. A hatchet or an axe is very, very important. It's usually a requirement. Snowshoes are usually very important to carry, and a requirement on most race trails. Most of the things that are required on distance trails, you should have as a musher. Some people do tents. I don't think it's necessary. A sled bag is really good, and I'd rather be right with my dogs too. And if they go when I'm in the sled and hooks pop, I'm with them. I can hop out of my sled, grab on the runners, and I'm good, you know. Sleeping equipment, food, you definitely want to have stuff, or the ability to hunt for stuff too. You know, a gun is important if you're especially in a place that you could be remote. Some race trails don't allow them, you know, so it really depends on what you're going to be doing. If you were up in the vast wilderness with animals that could potentially harm your dogs, and believe it or not, you know, one of the most dangerous animals is moose on a trail. A good gun is really important on a trail like that, yeah. They'll go in. A moose will be territorial and will go right into a team and stomp, 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 stomp. They're territorial, so they're not afraid. The differences between a house dog and a working sled dog is they're also athletes. So you have all of these athletes, and the larger your kennel grows, in order to be successful, above and beyond, there is a moral aspect of it where you have to take care of these dogs and make it part of your life. And if you don't make this part of your life, you won't be successful. You won't have happy dogs. You won't achieve the full, true experience if you don't embrace it as a lifestyle, because it's not like a hobby. You can't just put it away. You can put your fishing poles away. You can put your guns away. So I think if for anything, what people should know about dog mushing in general is that it is a way of life for dog mushers more than it is a part of life. I think that's a pretty profound statement, and that's something that you should know about dog mushing. That even though we can go on and take care of the house and, you know, make sure the heat is gone, the bills are paid and everything, these dogs have to be fed. Not only fed, fed the best that we can access, because they're athletes, you know, and as wholesome as we can get to what they would have in the wilds, you know. Fish, Alaska is abundant with it. It's awesome that they're able to get that for them, and we source that as often as we can to try to feed them a raw diet so they get the most nutrition. So I think that's really, really important for you to know about mushing. Equipment, I think we covered that. Really important to make sure your equipment is secure. You do not want to have equipment failure in the middle of the woods. And if you do, you want to be prepared. You want to know how to fix your things. Duct tape, hugely important. Not all of us are carpenters or good fid workers or lashers, but most of us can open tape. Duct tape is like very important. Definitely have duct tape on the trail. Fid work, the rope work. You need to be able to fix things, so tools are important out on the trail. Extra rope, extra tugs. A lot of times we'll carry extra necklines, extra tugs, so we can fix it. Dogs chew. They get all excited and they'll like chew a line and there you go, you're without a line, or you can go fix it. So that's really important. Proper clothing. Proper clothing is very important. Good boots, good warm boots. Gotta have your digits. Your fingers and your toes are not working, you lose lots of things. Dexterity, you can't fix anything. Okay, so you gotta be able to warm up your hands. Mittens are important for me because I have horrible circulation. And if you are a woman, because most of us are women that have horrible circulation, some men do, but women tend to have really bad circulation. Mittens, because you can keep your digits together and get them really, really warm. I do the fist trick in mine. Toes. If you do not keep your toes warm in really good boots, you're in trouble. You lose your balance. You get like 2 blocks on there and you need toes. You need toes for balance. It's really important. So warmth is really good. Dry. Layering up is important in dog mushing. Okay, so you don't want just one big warm thing. You want to be able to take your outer dry layer, your Gore-Tex or whatever you've used. Some have wax, some use fat. They all kinds of ways to waterproof your outer shell. A waterproof outer shell is very important. You can strip that off, you can take off the layers. So we usually layer up. You're out there mushing, sometimes you start sweating. It'll be freezing cold. That's not a good thing. You want to wick off. You don't want to have moisture in there because you're going to be cold eventually if you let that moisture build up. You also want the ability to keep dry if you end up in a river or something. I think every musher at one time or other has broken through some ice. Not fun. And it's cold. And we don't have that great ability that these dogs have. We're covered in pores. You know, we're very porous. These dogs don't have pores. Their bodies aren't covered in pores. You know, they don't sweat out like that. They're able to maintain their heat a lot better than we are. So important goes. Belly loop and neck loop are bunched up and then put over the head. And each leg is pulled through each leg hole. Very important that you have a good fitting harness. If a harness doesn't fit a dog properly, they're not pulling properly and there could be injury. If the harness is too small, it's going to be really tight and restrict the air passage. Very, very important. Also, the length of the harness is very important. If you can see, the tug comes just to the base of the tail. That means that the overall distribution of the pull is going to be properly fit on the dog. If it comes too short, it's going to cause injury to the back of the dog, and it is going to be restricting over the chest area. Good girl. Come on, Viper. Where would you like her? Neckline. Good girl, Viper. Here you go. Tug line. More tug. Good girl.
Go mushing.
Easy. Really important job for you right now. Just hold that brake real hard.